Metro UI, the user interface of Windows 8, was in the forefront of flat design. The latest iteration of Microsoft's Windows, which is Windows 10, is no exception. So, to close our adventure with the different styles of different operating systems, let's create this podcast icon. But quick note before we start, Windows Phone icons don't use shadows at all. They are as flat as can be. But in addition to a Windows Phone app icon, I want to show you how to create a multi-layered long shadow effect. Just in case Microsoft decides to use that in the future. I guess we should start, as always, with checking out how the icon is constructed. First, what's most important to notice here is that each element of the icon was created with the use of the rounded rectangle tool. This main shape right here is a rounded rectangle. These indents are also rounded rectangles, and so is the base. We got the multi-layered long shadow right here, and of course we got the square background. And there are only two colors used here, white and teal. So it's flat design at its flattest, so to speak. As usual, let me start with creating some room to work. I'll go ahead and duplicate the artboard. Of course, I want only the artboard, not the contents of it. Now I'll create a separate layer for my icon. I'll name it Podcast. And I will lock the original layer. Now I'll create the main shape, of course with the rounded rectangle tool. But first I will make sure that only the black fill is active. I want the icon to be easily visible. Now I'll go ahead and grab the rounded rectangle tool from the Tools panel and start drawing it like so. Sure, creating it will take some time. Its shape and roundness of the corners are totally up to you. In this case, if you want to speed up your work, you could always press the right arrow to make the corners rounded to the max, like so. Now I want to create the side indents, and I will create them with the rounded rectangle, yes, with 4 rounded rectangles to be exact. So I'll create one, and I'll make it white, and I will duplicate it down. Let me reposition these guys a bit, and I will group and align them properly. Now I want to copy and reflect them to the right, and I will do that with the Reflect tool that I will make active by pressing the O key on the keyboard. And if you have Smart Guides on, which you can check in the View menu, you will see Illustrator telling you where the center of the microphone is, and that's actually great, because now I can Alt or Option click to get the Reflect tool up and reflect these guys to the right. Of course, I want to hit Copy, not OK. Alright, so far so good. Now let's select everything and hit -front in the Pathfinder tool to get the shape I am looking for. Great, fantastic. Now let's create the base. Again, with the rounded rectangle, I will click and drag, like so. Now, it might take some time to get this right, so don't worry if you don't get it right the first time. Just play around with it. Now I will delete the top anchor point, so I will select it with the Direct Selection tool. I'll simply hit Delete. I'll make the stroke thicker. I guess something around 20 to maybe 25 pixels should be fine. And again, with the Direct Selection tool, I'll select 2 top anchor points and bring them a bit down. If you think that this shape is a bit too big or too small, just go ahead and play with its size with the Scale tool, or just by resizing it with the Selection tool. I will also head over to the Stroke panel and choose Round Cap. Now let's create the stand, and it is as simple as creating 2 rounded rectangles. Now let's align everything to center, and we are set to create the multi-layered long shadow effect. But I think that we should do that in the next video.